What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the What Is Your channel. Welcome back to the Cleveland Browns retro rebuild here on Madden 21 on the PC. That is right, we are here in season number 3, right? I think it's season number 3. The year is 2011. Yeah. Because we just got done with the 2011 draft. Well, the 2010 roster with the 2010 season with the 2011 NFL draft, and now we are in the 2011 season. So you guys understand how years work. You know what I'm talking about. But we are here with one of my favorite draft classes I've ever drafted in Madden. And I'll show you guys that in a minute. You guys already know, obviously, who we have on the roster because of the last episode, but we can give you a little bit of a refresher here today. But before we start the episode, make sure to smash that like button, notification bell, and the subscription button as well. Join the G's Club. Let's get into the video. All right, here we are in 2011. It is week 3 because we implemented the 2012 draft class, and you guys are going to want to see who's in the 2012 draft class. I mean, obviously, you already know either from just common knowledge or from the Miami Dolphins draft, because we did get to 2012 in that series as well. So we are in week 3. We are 2-0 on the season, which is a little bit of a shock because, as you can see, we are only an 80 overall with an 80 overall defense, or 81 overall defense, 80 overall offense. Let's take a quick look at the roster the way it stands right now. Jamarcus Russell at 72 overall is still our starting quarterback. He will be our starting quarterback for this second season. He led us to an AFC Championship game in year number 1 for him. Obviously, in the first year, we didn't make the playoffs. In year number 2, we got Jamarcus Russell, and we made an AFC Championship game. But we did lose in heartbreaking fashion in overtime to the New York Football Jets. And I'm still a little bit mad about that, but we move on. We've got Darren Mcfadden, who hopefully in year number 3 can take a big jump, maybe get to a mid-80 overall. That's what I'm hoping for. We've got Ricky Williams, and I signed Brian Westbrook out of free agency to be the third string because I like having 3 running backs on my roster. So hopefully Darren Mcfadden can take that leap. As for wide receiver, Steve Smith will still be our number 1. I know he's dropping off. He's getting a little bit older, but he will still be our number 1 receiver as we go this season. Hopefully Antonio Brown can start to ascend to be the number 1 receiver now that he's got his superstar X Factor. He's a 78 overall. We've got Braylon Edwards, who is an 80 overall. Like I said, he is a good third option on any wide receiver core. He is not a number 1 anymore. I don't think he ever was a number 1 in my opinion, but he's a good third option, a solid third option. This may be his final season because he may start to regress, so we may end up moving him while he still has some value. I don't know yet, depending on how he plays in the season. And then we've got our first-round pick, A.J. Green, as our 4th wide receiver. Hopefully he can fill out that 4th spot as our young up-and-coming receiver like Antonio Brown did last season. Hopefully A.J. Green can take that spot this year. On the offensive line, we've got Joe Thomas, obviously, as our stalwart left tackle. He will be here the entire series. I will make sure of it. Left guard, I'm not happy with, but it's manageable, and it is doable for the season. We have Stein. I think his name is Eric Stein. Is it Eric? Yeah, it is Eric. He's 31 years old. He is going to start to regress even more than he already has. He needs to probably be moved on, but I just didn't have a left guard that I liked in the draft or in free agency that we could have replaced him with. We did draft Daniel Kilgore. He is a 66 overall with normal development, so he may not be the future left guard, but he's here as a backup. Center, Alex Mack is fine. He hopefully will be here the entire series. I have no idea if he will be or not. Maybe we trade him like they did in real life. Because he's probably got some decent value. But he's an 84 overall. He's a good center for us. We've got, who is this? Maurice Williams. I think we signed him out of free agency. He is 74 overall. The guard positions are definitely our weakest point. You can probably already tell that. But we need to figure out something with these guards because we are not a Super Bowl championship team. Even an AFC champ, we can't get back to the AFC championship if we got guards like this. So hopefully they either improve or they play better than their overall says. Right tackle, we've got Trent Williams, solid. We don't need to do anything about right tackle. He is completely fine there. Him and Joe Thomas, both X factors. Tight end, we've got Rob Gronkowski entering year number 2. Hopefully he can become something like he does in real life. I know he was a little bit of a late bloomer in real life. Not so much a late bloomer. I mean, he dominated in like 2011, 2012 in real life. So hopefully he can do the same in our little series. He is an X factor as well. We don't have a tight end behind him. This is our other tight end. He's a 45 overall. So take a bath because that is gross. So as we move on to the defense, we've got some promise. We have some absolute promise. This is probably one of my favorite defensive lineups that I've ever had in a Madden franchise because we've got young J.J. Watt with a hidden potential. I'm obviously assuming it's X Factor. We've got Cam Jordan, which is probably Superstar or X Factor. I'm not 100% sure. It could be X Factor, but it also could be Superstar. We've got Justin Houston, who also could be Superstar or X Factor. I'm not 100% sure yet. We've got Malcolm Smith, who I'm pretty sure is just Star. I don't know about that either. Richard Sherman's down here. He's an X Factor, I know for sure. But other than that, I mean, we've got guys everywhere. We've got Earl Thomas as our starting free safety. We've got Brodney Poole with Rashad Jones as his backup. We've got some solid corner. Our corners are looking real good and real young. We've got Devin McCourty, who's only 24 years old. He's X Factor. We've got Eric Wright, who we signed to a big contract. He's 26 years old. We've got Brandon Browner, who I think is 26 years old as well. He's behind him. And then Richard Sherman and Chris Harris are both there as young draft picks that we took this past season, who will both have hidden potential. And I think Chris Harris is Superstar. He might be X Factor. I'm not 100% sure on him as well. But our linebacking core could use a little bit of work. I like the way we have Justin Houston here. Hopefully he will grow as the starting left outside linebacker. I like Cameron Wimbley. He's 27 years old, still 88 overall, so he's got some good potential. We've got Sean Lee behind him as well. But the middle linebacker position could be a little bit better. D'Qwell Jackson tends to get a little bit injured, I've noticed in the simulation the past couple of seasons. So he could be moved on. He's probably got a decent amount of value because he's 76 overall still, and he's pretty young at 27. So we may need to move on from him if we find a better middle linebacker. We have a backup in Ray Lewis, which I never thought I'd say that. But Ray Lewis is here as a 74-year-old, 36 overall backup middle linebacker who I did not know this roster has his game face in it. I didn't even realize that it did. So that's pretty cool. So that is the defense. That's what we're looking like. Obviously we have Steven Gostkowski still as our kicker. I don't think there's anything else that I need to discuss with you guys before we start simulating. Oh, duh, the roster. I didn't even show you guys the roster. You guys obviously know what it's looking like. We've got Andrew Luck and we've got Robert Griffin III as the 1 and 2 on this quarterback roster. Everybody else is kind of secondary. I mean, Russell Wilson's here. I did take Russell Wilson in the Dolphins franchise, and he just sat behind Cam Newton the entire series. So I don't know if I want to do that again. I don't really want to do that to him because he only got up to like a 73, 74 overall or something like that. 75 maybe, and he's definitely better than that. So I would rather him go somewhere where he could prove himself, or he could be our starting quarterback. I don't know. Depending on whether we get a guy like RG3 who's got the speed, he's got the physicals, he looks very good. Obviously Andrew Luck is here as well. Can't miss prospect, generational talent. He's here as well. If we have the number 1 pick, which we currently have the 24th pick, we're not going to get either of these guys, but we have to hope. We have to hope that either we get one of those top 2 guys or we get Russell Wilson. As for running back, we've got Trent Richardson, who obviously in real life did not pan out, but in this, we may be able to change his future. I don't know. I don't really want to take a risk on. I guess we could because we don't really need a running back. We've got Darren McFadden, who can be our number one for a while. But, I mean, so I guess we could take a flyer on Trent Richardson, see if he pans out or not. I don't know. Wide receiver, speaking of guys who didn't pan out, I mentioned this in the draft class video for the Dolphins. This draft class is one of the most insane draft classes because it has so many guys that had such high ceilings and such build up, such hype with all this potential, and they just didn't pan out. So, I mean, look at this wide receiver core. Almost everybody on this list just didn't pan out. That's crazy. Some guys off the field issues, some guys on the field issues. It's crazy to look back at some of these draft classes and see the guys that just had so much hype and so much potential just didn't pan out for them. Kind of sucks for some of these guys. But wide receivers, we got Justin Blackman, who is 6'1", 207. He's a deep threat. He's a physical, big body receiver. He could be our number one receiver of the future if he pans out. Obviously, we'll scout him. He doesn't have a good... We know from past scouting from the Dolphins that he doesn't have a good grade on him. But just like the Trent Richardson thing, we could turn him around if we want to. We could at least try to. Michael Floyd is here. Alshon Jeffrey. Ryan Broyles. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Ryan Broyles, Ruben Randall, Devere Posey, Mo Sanu, Ty Hilton, what is this, FIFA? T.Y. Hilton, God. Travis Benjamin, Keyshawn Martin, who I think the Patriots drafted in this draft. I'm not 100% sure. I think they did. Marvin Jones Jr., Tommy Streeter, Cole Beasley. Tommy Streeter, man. I remember Tommy Streeter had like a lot of hype coming out of college, and I actually did like him too. Josh Gordon, speaking of height, why does it say he went to Utah? I'm going to change that. He went to Baylor. I don't know why it says he went to Utah. But Josh Gordon could be an option here. He's potentially undrafted, or he's projected to be undrafted, so we may be able to get a pick on him. Tight ends, not the best tight end class. There may be somebody here to just fill out the roster because we obviously need a backup tight end. We have a 45 overall right now, so anybody would be better. But Kobe Fleener came out at the same time Andrew Luck did. He never panned out in real life. We could obviously change that. Dwayne Allen is a pretty decent, productive tight end in the league. Really was for a couple years. Orson Charles is... Garrett Selleck is pretty decent. There's not a lot of options, but there are a few to be a backup tight end. Obviously, we have free agency as well. Left tackle, Matt Khalil, Mitchell Schwartz, Donald Stevenson, Tom Compton, Nate Potter, Austin Pastor. So left tackle has some options. Riley Reef is there as well. But we don't need a left tackle because we have Joe Thomas. I guess we could take a backup, maybe like a flyer on like a Riley Reef or a Mike Remmers or Austin Pastor, somebody like that as a backup. You guys know from the Dolphins series that Mike Adams is in this draft class for some reason as a left tackle. I went in and edited it so he would never get drafted. I don't know why. I guess I could just delete him, I think. I don't know if I can or not. But I just made him really bad so that he would never get drafted as a left tackle because he's not a left tackle. He's a safety. Moving on to left guard, Kelvin Beacham, who's got some good potential. He could be an option for us. We do need a left guard. I'm going to have to get some draft picks. I'm going to have to work my magic and get some draft picks because currently how we sit right now, we don't have a 4th-round pick. We need another 1st-round pick. Like I always have 2 1st-round picks in every draft that I'm in. I can't have less than 1 or less than 2 draft picks. So I'm going to have to do some Madden cheese and maybe some work and see if we can get another pick. But Kelvin Beacham definitely could be an option for us at left guard. We've got Peter Collins at center. Ben Jones, I think went to Alabama, not Georgia. This draft class is crazy with the mistakes that they made on here. Mike Brewster out of Texas A&M. Right guard, Kelechi Osemele, Brandon Brooks. This is a good draft class for right guards. J.R. Sweezy, David DeCastro. So if we need to take a right guard, we've got some options here. Right tackle, Cordy Glenn, Jonathan Martin, Bobby Massey, Marcel Jones. Not really a good right tackle class, which is good because we have already our star franchise right tackle. Moving on to the defense, Quentin Coples, Andre Branch, Vinnie Curry, Olivier Vernon, Tyrone Crawford, Malik Jackson. It's an average left outside line or left end class. It's really an average defensive end class. I'll give you that. We got Bruce Irvin, Whitney Merciless, obviously, who are studs. Mike Daniels is a stud. But other than that, it's really not a lot. Chandler Jones is here. Defensive tackle, Dontari Poe, Fletcher Cox, Michael Brockers, Derek Wolfe, John Hughes III, Akeem Hicks. It's a good defensive tackle class. Damon Harris, Snacks Harrison. It's a good defensive tackle class. There's some good options here, especially in the first round with one of these guys. I think we take one of these guys because we do need a defensive tackle to work with Chris Long and J.J. Watt. Left outside linebacker, Melvin Ingram, who we could draft and then turn into an end because he plays a lot of defensive end in real life. Nigel Bradham, Demario Davis, I just marked over. Tahir Whitehead, Brandon Marshall, Danny Trevathan, Emmanuel Acho. Good outside linebacking class. Courtney Upshaw, Levante David. It's a good class here. Luke Kuechly, obviously stud middle linebacker. Bobby Wagner, stud middle linebacker. What I could do is I could rebuild the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom. We've already got Richard Sherman. We've already got Brandon Browner. We already got Earl Thomas. We need Bobby Wagner and Cam Chancellor. And then we've got the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom. If we could do that, but we don't. I tried to get Cam Chancellor, but he already got drafted. Dante Hightower's in this draft class. So middle linebacker, good linebacker's a good position in this draft class. It's got some good options for us. Maybe not so much right outside linebacker, but left and middle have some good options for us. We do need some linebackers. Michael Kendricks. Who else is in here? Nobody. Zach Brown, Nick Perry. No, nobody in there. Corner, we do need another corner. Maurice Claiborne, Stephon Gilmore, Drake Kilpatrick. Who else is down here? Casey Hayward, Tremaine Johnson, Cody Sensenbaugh, Brandon Boykin, Josh Norman, Jeremy Lane, part of that Seahawks defense. Nate Ebner, who's actually a safety, but they have him as corner here. Alfonso Denard, he may have played corner when he first came in the league. I can't remember. Alfonso Denard, Janoris Jenkins, Chase Minifield. It's not a good end of the draft class, but Janoris Jenkins is a pretty good spot. Free safety Tavon Wilson, Justin Bethel, Josh Bush, Michael Thomas, not the Michael Thomas receiver, the Michael Thomas free safety. Rodney McLeod, Tayshaun Gibson, Mark Barron, George Iloka, Winston Guy, I remember that dude. Eddie Pleasant, Antonio Allen, Harrison Smith could be a good strong safety for us. Maybe we have like Earl Thomas and Harrison Smith as our 1-2 punch in the secondary. That'd be pretty crazy. Kickers, we don't need a kicker, but Justin Tucker's here. Punter. This is the Marquette King draft class. Johnny Hecker's pretty good too. We do need a punter because our punter's pretty old and bad. So our punter's current rating is a C+, so we probably do need to work with that. But that is the 2012 draft class. You guys know how I feel about some of these draft picks. You know my thoughts. You know what I'm thinking about, who I'm thinking about taking, except for at the quarterback spot. I'm not sure who I want to take there. But now we can just simulate. I'm going to see if I can do my magic late in the season, depending on how we're looking, and see if I can get another draft pick because we're going to need it to get the guys that we want to get. So I'll see you guys when something good happens. All right, bring you guys back in because we made the playoffs. I know I don't usually skip to past week 17 because of some gameplay, but something came up, so I needed to skip to week 17. So there won't be any gameplay in this episode, but there will be gameplay in the playoffs because we made the playoffs. We were the 1 seed for a while, but I decided to sit some of my starters for week 17 so we'd be fresh and ready for the playoffs. So we ended up losing that game against the Bills, and we lost our number 1 seed to the Texans. But that's completely fine. We're in the playoffs. We look really good, and we are ready for another playoff run. Hopefully, we can make the Super Bowl this year. And hopefully there's not any fluke things that happen. But let's take a look at the stats for the season. We have Jamarcus Russell with 4,800 passing yards, 38 touchdowns, 9 picks. Phenomenal from Jamarcus. We may not even need to take a quarterback in this draft because Jamarcus Russell is such a good quarterback for us right now. He's playing out of his mind. As for running back, Darren Mcfadden, 217 yards, or 217 carries, 853 yards, 6 touchdowns. Ricky Williams had 7 touchdowns. Receivers, 3 1,000-yard receivers. We had Rob Gronkowski with 104 catches, 1,100 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Steve Smith had 84 catches, 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And Braylon Edwards had 99 catches, 1,000 yards as well, 7 touchdowns. Antonio Brown was almost there. 59 catches, 900. Think about that. 59 catches, 987 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Jamarcus Russell was slinging the rock. That is crazy how we had almost 4 receivers in 1,000 yards. That's absolutely insane. As for the defense, we had Doquell Jackson, who had 107 tackles with 1 sack. Who led the sacking department? Cameron Jordan had 9.5 sacks in his rookie season. That's crazy. J.J. Watt had 7 in his rookie season. He also had an interception as well. That's pretty cool. Earl Thomas had 3, Brodney Poole 3, Eric Wright 3, and then J.J., Justin Houston, Devin McCourty, and Brandon Browner all had 1. Did anybody take it to the house? No pick sixes, no safety. Oh, Cameron Jordan had 1 safety. No blocked punts. 2 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. Okay, that's pretty good. Deflections are looking good. This team is primed and ready for the playoffs. Steven Gostkowski only missed 1 field goal, and he kicked a 55-yarder, which is pretty cool. We did good punting. How's our kick return? Not very good at all. Not very good at all. But Jamarcus Russell, man, almost 5,000 passing yards, 38 touchdowns. That's crazy to think about that Jamarcus Russell is playing that well. We are doing amazing this season, and we are ready for a playoff run. Jay Cutler looks like he's going to win MVP, but Jamarcus Russell is going to finish in 3rd most likely for the MVP. Look at this. Jay Cutler and Jamarcus Russell, 1 and 3, and then right there in the middle is Tom Brady. That is a sight and a half right there. Coach of the Year is Kevin Stefanski on the Texans. We have Romeo Crennel in 7th. Okay, so we go to AFC. Offensive Player of the Year is Jamarcus Russell. Congratulations to him. Buster Davis wins Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year is Cam Newton. We expected something like that. Kelvin Shepard wins Defensive Rookie of the Year with Cam Jordan and J.J. Watt right there behind him. Best quarterback was Tom Brady. Marshawn Lynch wins Best Running Back. Best wide receiver is James Jones. I don't know why James Jones always does so good, but he did this in the Dolphins series as well. He always made Pro Bowls. He won awards. He's just a beast, apparently. But he wins Best Wide Receiver. We had nobody in the top wide receivers. Joe Thomas wins Best Offensive Lineman. Robert Mathis wins Best Defensive Lineman. Sean Merriman wins Best Linebacker. Darrell Revis wins Best Defensive Back. And Steven Gostkowski wins Best Kicker. So those are the awards. Those are the stats. We had the best offense in the league, and we had the 25th best defense in the league. So our offense is absolute unstoppable, but our defense could be destroyed very easily. We're up to an 85 or 84 overall, 84s across the board. And I did want to mention one more thing. Your boy did some work in the simulation, and we now have draft picks. That is right. I traded some players away that I knew we weren't going to re-sign or that we had no need for. So I ended up getting the number 1 overall pick from Seattle. It didn't really even take that much. It took Dakota Watson, our 3rd-string middle linebacker that we drafted in year number 1 that just really wasn't going to pan out for us. And then it took somebody else that I cannot remember, and then a draft pick, I think. But we got the number 1 overall pick. We have, obviously, our 31st overall pick. We have a 2nd-round pick. We have 3 third-round picks, a 4th, 2 5ths, 2 6ths, and a 7th. Obviously, we can trade some of those to get picks next year. It's just flipping assets and getting more assets and flipping them again and doing all that kind of stuff. But now we have an actual comforting thing knowing that we have this many draft picks and we have a decent amount of money in cap that we can spend. I mean, it's not crazy. It's like 30-something million, but we have a decent amount of money in cap. We have a lot of draft picks to fall back on. We have a good offense that can take us to a Super Bowl. This isn't just like last year where I was kind of thinking maybe we make the playoffs, maybe we make a little bit of a run like a Cinderella team, and we ended up getting to the AFC Championship game and losing on a fluke play that maybe some people would think we should have been in the Super Bowl. But this year, I feel like we should be in the Super Bowl this year. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If we don't make the Super Bowl, it's a disappointment and it's a failed season. But I think we have what it takes to play in the Super Bowl this year. Make sure you smash that like button, notification bell, and the subscription button as well. Join the Juice Club. The playoffs will be in the next episode. You guys know the drill. The 2011 playoff special will be next time. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!